Yes, guys, welcome to Chasing Green Arrows. We're back. It's deadline day. It's deadline day on, well, it's a Tuesday deadline. This is really weird and completely thrown me. Big man, how are you finding it? It's a very, very fast turnaround, which I guess is fun.
Extremely fast turnaround. Hello, Johnny. Hello, welcome to all the listeners and viewers. Extremely fast, actually.
Yeah.
Lots of tough decisions to be made as well. I think the game week 31 transfer decisions will be very critical and they'll play a pivotal role in how the rest of the season pans out, because I think there will be major ramifications, because it's not only about who you're buying, but it's also about who you're selling. A lot of people are looking to buy Salah, but it's very difficult to afford him and compromises have to be made. And I think there will be a significant variety of teams that we'll see. I don't think there's a clear set path to Salah, which makes this week very, very interesting. And not just this week, the next 2 weeks before a lot of us decide to wildcard in game week 35. The next 2-3 weeks would be very interesting.
Before we see your team, we'll see your team in the not too distant. Just tell us, are you don't say who for, but are you locked with your decision of how you're getting Salah in, or have you still got a scenario A and a scenario B?
I was contemplating this for the past 48 hours, but I finally came to a decision last night.
Yeah.
Simply because of the price changes. They're just so unforgiving. And with price movements for both the players that you're buying and selling, it's very difficult to not make the transfers early. So I mean, I took the first Salah rise, but I made the transfer last night after much deliberation.
Like that.
What
Around
about you?
Yeah. I mean, I went Salah on Sunday night because was there a price rise on Salah last night as well? I know there was on Sunday night.
No, Salah didn't rise yesterday, but Darwin did actually.
Okay, yeah. Interesting. Yeah, Darwin, one of the most transferred in players. Salah, Isak, two of the other top four, I think. We've just done a poll. It's around 50-50 split. Are you bringing in Salah this week? But we might tweak that poll to a new one, which is going to be, will you own Salah in game week 31? Because then we know all of those that already own him. And I'm really keen to see that percentage. I'm guessing 90% of you guys will own Salah by game week 31. So let's poll that. Will you own Salah by game week? Will you own Salah? Not bring him in, but will you own Salah in game week 31? And I reckon it's going to be like 90%. I reckon like you would be a very brave manager.
Over 90%. Over 90%. I think 90% you're being conservative.
Let us know in the chat if you are going against Salah and why. And I guess the only reason you would go without Salah would be you look at it and think, I'm not willing to rip up my team and it requires -8 or -12. So for me, I was happy to take the -4. I mean, big man, let's just talk about Salah in general and why we think he's needed this week. A record 12 attempts against Brighton, and Brighton are no mugs. So what can he do against Sheffield United?
Again, I mean, it's just the fixture, man. I think I got away with murder not owning him against Brighton.
Same.
Could have had a hat-trick very easily. And I'm just not willing to take that gamble again, especially when a lot of people will have him captain this week. It's just not worth the risk.
Absolutely. I'm with you. I'm absolutely with you. And captaincy doesn't even need to be discussed this week for me. If you were going rogue on captaincy, you'd still look within that fixture, I think. I think you'd go Darwin. Possibly Arsenal.
Probably, but Saka and Haaland have good fixtures. I mean, Saka, I think, will start irrespective of what Arteta is saying. He's not exactly known to be the most honest guy in the past. But yeah, I think I would probably go with Haaland if I didn't own Salah.
Yeah, it seems like some of the chat will be going without Salah. 10% so far are on no. Keep voting though, guys, and get those likes and subscribes in nice and early. I think I think you're just so brave if you go without him. Like, I'd be willing to sell any player in the game for Salah. But let's just talk about some of those routes to Salah, shall we, big man? The big questions. So look, we've got the big questions of the game week. We'll address them now. And then we're going to show your team, my team. We've also got a wildcard 31. And there's a few out there. I think Luke's on wildcard. Luke, we're going to show you a wildcard draft that Bigman's put together as well. But question number one, I guess, is the best routes to Salah. Like, who would you be willing to sacrifice? Because this time last week, big man, both of us looked at our teams, and we've got similar looking teams, and both thought that maybe Son might become Salah. But is that still your thinking or not?
Okay. Let's just break this down into two different questions. Firstly, let's just decide who to sell, and then we'll come to who to buy, right? So who to sell? I would do my best to hold on to Son if you could afford to keep him. I just think that his fixtures in the immediate run are perfectly fine. When you look at, West Ham away is fine, then Forest at home, even Newcastle away is fine, given how many chances Newcastle have been conceding recently. So even though Son is a sell before game week 34, it does not necessarily have to be right now. So in my opinion, if you can afford to keep Son and get Salah, I think that has to be the best possible option. I think the likes of Gordon, Foden, Bowen, Richarlison, all these guys are more expendable than Son. I just think Son is a level above because of penalties and because of the nailed onness of minutes. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I actually was looking at the end of last game week. I got to a point where I was like, I'm going to sell Son, I'm going to sell De Bruyne, and I'm going to get Salah, and I'm going to get an Arsenal midfielder. And I've gone against that. I watched Son and I watched Spurs against Luton. And it's another example of me watching Son. And every time you do, you go, I need to own him in FPL. And I was silly for even considering it. So Son's going to stay for me. I do think there's a lot out there that are selling Foden. And I get it. Like, you have to sell someone.
I mean,
you can't
sticking
have
to
them
Son, before I come to Foden, I think the one scenario why I can sort of advocate selling Son is if people want both Salah and Darwin. Let's say a lot of people have 2 free transfers. Yes. Whenever I mention Darwin, it brings a smile to your face. You start blushing, Danny. He is your boy. He is your boy. You are blushing.
This is the only game week ever, I think, where he will be popular and I won't own him, because I've owned Darwin 5-6 times in 2 seasons, right? I've owned him a lot in terms of I've bought him that many times. So because of that, I'm really gonna feel anger towards all those out there that have trashed Darwin in the past that will own him this game week, and I'm not going to own him. Like, spoiler alert, I cannot get to Darwin this week, and I am so jealous of those that can.
And they may benefit from a Darwin hat trick while you're sat here in a position where you can't afford him. So I can completely feel your pain because I'm in a similar boat. Spoiler alert, because I've had him twice this season, and again he's dodged points like anything. So this might finally be the week where he comes good and he does well given the fixture. And again, because of budget constraints, I didn't really have a convenient route of getting him.
You can't.
So I decided to not get him really. But
that
I do think for someone, it does exactly. It does allow me to keep Son.
So Son or Darwin is a hard question. Maybe we should poll that. If you could only have one this game week, is it Son or Darwin? Because that's pretty split.
It's split, but again, if let's say in my case, keeping Son and not getting Darwin meant that I didn't have to take a hit. So for Darwin, I would have had to sell Son plus take a hit.
Yeah,
that's not going to happen, right?
Yeah,
I just didn't think that was a sensible thing to do. I think if I was to pick one, I would probably prefer Darwin over Son for the next 3 weeks, for the next 4 weeks rather, till game week 34, because of the double. I think Darwin edges it, but the issue is that if it comes at the cost of a hit, then I think I prefer Son, and that's why I'm holding on to Son. I mean, Son for all practical purposes could be our captain game week 32, given the Forest at home fixture. It's a really good fixture.
It's a really good one. I agree. I'm looking at 32 as Son captain. Hello to Bill and Jojo Sokan in the chat. From the 2 options, who would you keep in your team? Yeah, good question. Son or Darwin? I'm Son now, but if you ask me in 33, I'll be saying Darwin because of the double. It's a tough one. Okay, so look, we both agree, like Son and Darwin, 2 players we'd absolutely love, but you probably can't have both. Who else is sellable this week for Salah then? I mean, we need to speak about Foden and we have to speak about Watkins in that conversation.
Mm, I think Watkins now with the injury is sellable. Before the injury, I was looking at holding him, but hamstrings are, I mean, they generally take a while. And given the short turnaround, I don't think that Watkins will be able to make game week 32. So I think Watkins is an okay sell.
God, you and I were both going to see, it was a bit different there, big man, because the vast majority out there were going to sell Watkins this week always. But you and I secretly were both going to keep then, because I was too. I was going to bench him against Man City because we've got 8 good attackers, happy to bench him. And then I thought that Brentford at home fixture in 32 was nice for Watkins. I was like, playing against his old club, we'll start him. And that's why I was looking at selling Son potentially. But yeah, for me, Watkins is now an easy sell. But the vast majority selling Watkins will be able to go to an Isak or a Darwin. We aren't going in that direction.
We've gone in another direction, which we'll come to shortly. But again, I mean, I think Foden is expendable. Even though his immediate run of fixtures are fine, I do think he could be susceptible to rotation in game week 33 in particular. Even though I feel, if I was to guess, I still think he starts because the turnaround before the Madrid ties for the Luton fixture it's kind. It's
8
Tuesday,
days
Saturday, Wednesday. So it's kind, and given how much is at stake, I think Foden will be fine. And I think the same applies for Darwin as well. If I'm being totally honest, I think Darwin will play against Sheffield. If I was to guess.
I really hope Darwin's benched against Sheffield United. This is a Cody Gakpo game. Give it to Gakpo. Give Darwin a nice little rest. Yeah, I'm not sure if we see it. But Foden versus Aston Villa this game week, it should be mentioned. Foden came off against the weekend against Arsenal. And a few were like, oh, is Foden now, going to be early subbed? No, Foden had played 180 minutes for England. He wasn't getting much of the ball out wide. And De Bruyne was playing fine as the number 10. De Bruyne playing 90 off the back of his injury. I think De Bruyne might be benched versus Aston Villa. And with that, we could see Foden playing in his preferred central role. Foden playing number 10 versus Villa could be very, very dangerous. And those that are selling him, just be warned. You could see Foden playing in the role where he's got the vast majority of his FPL points from this season, and that is in the KDB role. I'd be selling Foden with a very heavy heart if I had to make that call. But I'd still rather sell Foden than Son.
Johnny, coming to Darwin, how many games in the foreseeable do you think he starts? I think he starts Sheffield, but I mean, there's Sheffield United, then it's United, then it's an away trip to Atalanta, then it's Crystal Palace at home, then it's a home game against Atalanta. So he will get rested at some point, surely. He won't play all those games. Where do you think his rest comes?
They need the first leg against Atalanta to be a battering and then be able to rest a few in the second leg, but I can't see that. Atalanta are a very, very good team. Like, they're doing really well of late, especially. They just beat Napoli at the weekend. This is a Napoli team that are in the quarterfinals of the Champions League, or the last 16 of the Champions League. So he'll miss one. Maybe it's the Palace game. He can't miss Man United.
Yeah.
Is it Palace
I'm
game?
Thinking Palace as well. I'm thinking Palace as well because he will start Atalanta, right?
He'll definitely the first game. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, exactly. He will start the first game. And the Palace game is like immediately after. It's like 2 days after. So that could be a hot spot for rotation. That's what I'm thinking.
That was probably the game, big man, that we as non-owners were looking at. Do we try and bring him in for that Palace game? Which is difficult because my route to Darwin is probably now going to be selling Haaland, and I'm not going to sell Haaland ahead of Luton. I'll sell Haaland ahead of game week 34. So I probably, if we look at the Ben Crellin fixture ticker, we can see the difficulty here with Premier League fixtures for those that want to accommodate Darwin. If you're not going this week on Darwin, we probably won't own him now till 34, big man, because we're not going to buy him in 33, knowing one, he could be rotated against Palace, but two, I'm guessing like me, your route to Darwin is selling Haaland, and you're not going to sell Haaland against Luton.
Exactly. So I think we made our bet now. If he comes in our team, it will be in game week 34 and not before it. But I still think he's a fantastic option. He is worth going for simply because of the upside that he offers. Yeah, I mean, minutes are a risk for the likes of Foden, Darwin, but I mean, the upside is there still. This is kind of why I like Son, because there's no concern over his minutes. He's nailed on penalties. 1 game a week, no, not an issue. Talisman, potentially playing as a striker. So there's much to like. And on that topic, Kudos to you for calling the Richarlison benching in our previous episode. You called it. Um, and I didn't necessarily see it coming. I played Richarlison, and he was benched. What are your thoughts on Richarlison? Do you think he plays tonight or in the weeks to come?
We
Will he
had
be eased in? What do you think?
FPL Salah and Chai on yesterday's show, and both thought Richarlison. I think they both said Richarlison they think comes in. I personally, as the Spurs predictor amongst the group, I would suggest that he is benched again. No, genuinely, I think Werner and Brennan Johnson both played very well. Johnson came off the bench and played well on the right. Kulu came off at half time. Werner was, as always, wasteful, but very good, and caused problems. And against West Ham in an away fixture, I think he'll go with Son number 9, Werner on the left, Brennan on the right. And actually, if I own Richarlison, I think I'd be selling.
Yeah, I think I agree with you. I think Brennan will come in. I own Richarlison, but at the moment he's on my bench. If we hear a league that he's starting, then I'll play him. I held on to him because I think that I think he can come in the weekend. I think if he has had a week of training behind his belt, there's a good chance that he comes in. So I think I'm happy to take that chance owning him. Let's say if he gets benched tonight, I don't really mind because at the moment I'm benching him anyway. But he is a good option to own if he plays against Forest at home. I don't think he's one you can categorize as a hard sell or a must buy or a must hold, right? So
yeah, I'd agree with that. And we might find out because, God, seems weird saying it. There are 5 Premier League games tonight, and one of them is Spurs West Ham. They are 45 minutes later than the first couple of games. So the deadline is 6. The West Ham Spurs game is 8:15. That's 2 hours, 15 minutes. Will we get a leak for Spurs? I'm not sure. There is a chance we do. Speaking of early leaks, it is also worth noting for those looking and worrying about Foden minutes, for example, game week 32, Man City Palace is the early kickoff. And again, we know City are a team we get leaks from. And game week 33, we just spoke about, could Darwin miss the Palace game? We're probably not going to know pre-deadline. Deadline will be at 11 a.m. Saturday. Liverpool play on the Sunday. Man City do play Luton, however. For those that might, again, be thinking of a Haaland benching against Luton or a Foden benching against Luton, is that possible? Well, if it is, you might just find out because they play as a 3 p.m. on the Saturday. So the deadlines feel important the next few weeks, big man, in terms of leaks because it involves teams like Liverpool and Man City.
Very, very important. Very, very important. Again, this is what I really like about the weeks to come. Diversity, variety in parts that we've chosen. Guessing expected minutes. I know everyone has Salah, but the parts that you've chosen are different. So it's going to be great.
Yeah, Off-Core thinks Richarlison might start, and Off-Core, like you might be right. I don't feel confident on my decision of saying he won't start. But if I was betting, I would bench him. Stephen, thank you so much
for the weekend.
Well, it depends how they play against West Ham. When you're Spurs and you're only playing, other than this week, 1 game a week, you can simply play. You don't need to worry about red zone, and you don't need to worry about rotation. And if the team is playing well, certainly in attack, then you will keep those attackers, I think. And Richarlison's still got to earn his spot. And I do believe, Chai doesn't, I do believe Son is better down the middle. And I do think he's a better goal threat. And I think you play your best players in their best positions. And at the moment, I think that's what Postecoglou will think to Son. It's very hard to move him out wide when he keeps scoring goals down the middle.
That's what I was going to come to. So you think that it's not due to fitness issues. It's basically because he doesn't really fit in the best 11 at the moment.
Yeah, that's how I see it. And that's exactly what we saw at the start of the season. Like Werner was, when the minute Werner signed, it was like, that's massively going to eat into Richarlison minutes because Werner, if he's playing well on the left, will earn that spot. And if he earns that spot on the left, then Sonny has to get in somewhere. And clearly playing number 9 freezes Richarlison out. Stephen's asked a question on Super Chat. Thank you so much, Stephen. He's on Wildcard. Would you go triple Liverpool attack? Do you know what, Stephen? Because you've asked a Super Chat, you can affect the schedule of today's show, and we will move to Bigman's Wildcard draft with your questions. So triple Liverpool attack, Diaz, Darwin, and Salah, or go 1 Liverpool defender, like a Bradley, and then Havertz as a pick. Personally, I love the idea on Wildcard of going triple Liverpool, but probably no Diaz I'd go Bradley, I'd go Darwin, I'd go Salah. And yeah, is it double Arsenal defence, or can you go one Arsenal defence and Saka and Odegaard, or Saka and Havertz? I would probably, depending on rank, if you were chasing, punt on double Arsenal attack. That could be loads of fun, and this is a good entry point. Bigman's wildcard draft isn't going to necessarily echo my thoughts there, but wanted to give you my 2 pence worth. Bigman, talk us through your wildcard draft so we can answer Stephen's question together.
I mean, it's an interesting point raised by Stephen, but while I was making this draft, the critical thing to sort of know is that it's a team that we're making for bench boost in Game Week 37. So the entire 15 have to be strong. We just don't have to focus on the first 11. So while the idea of getting Darwin, Diaz, Salah sounds good on paper, in theory, you have to ensure that the rest of the squad looks equally as strong, which I am not sure will be the case. Similarly, Havertz is still relatively high priced when you compare him to the likes of Garnacho, Palmer, or even Richarlison. I have Richarlison in my Game Week 31 draft, interestingly. This is what I came up with. I think this draft sort of gives a mixture of good points in the short term, as well as setting yourself up for the game weeks to come later. I've gone Disasi over Gusto because I'm not really sure about Gusto's injury, and triple Chelsea, I think, will be required after game week 34 because Chelsea have 2 double game weeks. Similarly with Spurs, I've gone with Porro and Richarlison for the exact same reason.
Yeah. I mean, it's a good looking team, that. It's a very, and as much as maybe I don't like the Richarlison pick, yeah, like other than that, like it looks great. And as you said, it prepares for a bench boost in 37. And remember, those on wildcard, there are only 2 teams out there that will double before the end of the season. That is Spurs, that is Chelsea. So yeah, maybe find a way of getting Son in this team somehow. Something would have to give there. But yeah, just give me your take, big man, on the whole Isak versus Darwin thing, because many this week can only have one. Does it simply come down to your chip strategy? If you're free hitting in 34, go Isak, and if you're not, go Darwin.
I completely agree. I completely agree. I think for people who are free hitting in 34, Isak makes more sense over the long term because his short term fixtures are nice, and then in game week 35, actually, he has Sheffield United at home, and then in 37 he's doubling. So if you have a free hit in 34, if you plan to free hit, then getting Isak over Darwin makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, nice. Guys, disappointingly, only a few of you have subscribed today. If you are lurking, please hit that subscribe button and the notification bell when you do subscribe. And obviously, likes are appreciated. It is deadline day. It's unlike us to stream on deadline day. So we're very excited to show you our teams coming up. Just on this wildcard draft, I just want to touch on Gvardiol, big man. I can't believe he's 4.8 million. Is that accurate? Is that right? He's 4.8.
It is, and I think he's a steal. In fact, in my Twitter thread, I did mention today that he is the best defender to buy this week. A lot of people are looking to buy a defender for the likes of Gusto or Lascelles. I think he's a very good own, because with injuries to Ake and Walker, I think he's the main beneficiary of their absences, and he's been playing really well. So I think he could play a big role in the game weeks to come.
Yeah, 100%. I agree. I can't believe that was his price. I like him regardless of price, but at that price, Man City's defence is the second best in the league. Like Arsenal are head and shoulders, but if you're buying a Saliba this week or a Ben White this week, you might be surprised how expensive they are. These guys have had a lot of price rises. They're like, you've got to spend 5.8 million. Well, if you can't afford it, go to Gvardiol. Final discussion on the wild card before we go back to the main questions, and that's just on Bradley, big man. Did you see the Liverpool highlights or watch the game? Like, Bradley conceded, didn't get an attacking return despite being so close so often, but still picked up 2 bonus. Like, this is a bonus beast.
Yeah. He is a bonus beast, and I don't want him against Sheffield United, and I'm fearing the worst. I mean, I can see a double-digit haul written all over this. I'm hoping I can jinx it while I say this, but it's very difficult to not have anyone apart from Salah in that fixture. I'm sort of dreading that fixture. I'm sure you are as well, to a certain extent, Jani.
Yeah, I mean, not owning Darwin in a way softens the blow slightly that if Darwin does return, then Bradley's involved, because at the moment he looks like chief creator. So yeah. I'm I'm pumped that I'll at least own Bradley and Salah, despite not having Darwin. And by the way, I think shout out to Diaz. Like Klopp spoke post match about how good Diaz was too. So both Diaz and Darwin are ones I would love this week. Yeah. Big man, I'm thinking yesterday we didn't have time to show our bonus beasts feature. Seeing as I've just mentioned Bradley and how good he was in the bonus, let's just see if we can show a couple of our bonus beasts. But first, we'll just address William's super chat. William has said Foden to Son on a -4. He owns Salah. He's got 9 doublers. He's not on free hit, 34.
I won't buy Son now. I won't buy Son.
Especially, I don't know. I won't
buy Son for sure. I won't buy Son for sure. I think they're
not on a -4 anyway.
Sorry, I would definitely not buy him at this point because transfers need to be prioritized on the doublers. Go for a doubler in defense, in attack, or in midfield. And I don't think selling Foden is necessary for a -4. Anyway, I mean, he's just a fine hold. So
you can sell Foden ahead of the double, but you can do that for an Arsenal player or a Liverpool mid or whoever, or maybe a punt on an Eze for the double game week, whatever. But I think you're good there, William. I think you hold, and the chat all agree. Finn, Javier, Chris, thank you for your responses on that one as well. William did say own Darwin too, but did Watkins, to Diamond for free. Makes sense. Just looking at the bonus beast, just wanted to show how good Isak was at the weekend. 1.87 XG. Obviously, that includes his pen, but it's the key passes too. Like we saw him get an assist. He's linking play so well. In those end-to-end games, it really suits an Isak where there's loads of space on the football pitch. And against West Ham, there was tons of space. What Newcastle at the moment are doing is going, we know we're going to concede. Let's turn this into a basketball match. And if we do that, we'll outscore you, or we'll try to outscore you. Now, I'm not so sure if that's the case versus Everton. That could be a tighter game. Everton don't go at you like perhaps West Ham did. But Isak's a really good buy. And if you've got the luxury of free moves and you're not sure what to do, definitely heading in the direction of Isak. I think he is the game's most bought player this game week after... No, I think Salah is actually second. Let's just have a look at a couple of the others before we go back to our main questions. So I think I shortlisted 3. So we had Isak. We had maybe 2 others. Kudus is a bonus beast, says Danish. Yeah, he was really good at the weekend. Let's just move this on away from Isak. We'll spend 30 seconds on Mateta. Do you know what? We might come back to the Mateta. No, we won't. There's not much to see. Big man, I was going to say we'll come back to the Mateta slide when we see our teams. Spoiler alert. But in terms of graphic, there's not much to look at here. I was shortlisting some of the stats, and usually you look at key passes, successful dribbles, why they got their bonus. Well, Mateta gets his bonus simply because he scored a goal, and he is in bonus. You're competing with your teammates, and his teammates don't do much, and the opposition team, in this case, didn't do much. So when you're a forward in a 1-0 win or a 1-1 draw, if your teams aren't teams that pass the ball loads or create loads, and Palace are certainly fall into that category, they create jack all. Now with that, Mateta's going to mop up in the bonus when he scores, which is really, really nice. And at 4.9 million, big man, he's up there with the best of the budgets, isn't he?
Okay, so in the previous section, we covered who to sell to buy Salah. Let's now come to who to buy, because a lot of people are in this predicament where they don't know which budget enablers to buy in order to enable Salah, in order to afford him.
Yeah,
I think Mateta is a good option. I think Palace and Wolves are the 2 teams you need to be looking at when you look at bargain budget shopping.
Yeah.
Wolves have a double in 34, same with Palace. The only difference is that Wolves fixtures are better. But if you don't plan on playing Mateta till 34, that's perfectly fine as well. I guess he's okay to play this week. But
better. Mateta's double is better, isn't it? So that's 2 homes versus West Ham and Newcastle. And who have Wolves got? Is it
Arsenal?
And Arsenal?
Yeah, Arsenal at home and Bournemouth at home as well. Yeah, both are at home. Both are at home. So there's that. And I think I prefer Mateta to Cunha actually, because I don't think Cunha is going to start tonight. He's just coming back from injury. I think he'll be in the squad, but bench. I don't think he's going to start. So if you need someone to play this week, Mateta's slightly better. And Sarabia is another one. If you're looking for someone in midfield, a lot of people are, let's say, selling the likes of Son, Richarlison, Foden, Gordon, Bowen. They can get Sarabia as an enabler to enable Salah. I really like Sarabia. Likely going to be on all set pieces in the absence of Neto. Could even be on penalties if Konya is out. Another good option. These are the sort of guys you need to be looking at to be able to afford Mo Salah in your teams.
Yeah, you were looking at Sarabia for Son last week, so that would have been some downgrade. I was really hoping you would do that, but no. Look,
I was looking at Salah for Son and Sarabia for Richarlison, but that plan sort of didn't really come through because of Watkins' injury. I had to sell Watkins.
Yeah, we were both pushed there, which is nice. It made our decision easy at least. Many will say, "What about Muniz?" Finn says he prefers Muniz. Look, we both prefer Muniz if you're not needing a striker just for game week 34. But the reality is, Muniz has a trigger, and Cunha both have doubles at home, 2 home doubles, 2 home games in their double. So,
and if
Bigman and I will be benching Mateta till 34.
And even if you are, let's say, not wildcarding, or if you don't have the wildcard left, then Muniz does not have a double left later on in the season, and his fixture in 37 isn't the best, and that's a week where you will be using the bench boost, right?
Yeah. Shashant says, are we falling into the trap of poor assets just for the sake of it? Good question, Shashant. Can I just throw it out there? No one's buying Mateta because they think they're going to get goals. Mateta is being bought pure and simply. Rule number 1, why? He's being bought as an enabler. And sometimes you need to buy players from poor teams or very average players to enable someone else. And we both want Mo Salah. We only will be playing this guy in game week 34. And you know what? If he gets 4 points in game week 34, it's not the end of the world. The expectation is low with Mateta.
Yeah, I'd like to add, there's a chance I play him this week. It's okay to play this week, but I don't have any expectations. The only reason I bought him is because A, like you mentioned, he enabled Salah. B, getting him meant that I don't have to take a hit, which is again preferable. And third, it meant that I can keep Son, who I believe is the best captain next week. Yeah. So he enables me to have a strong 15 at the same time ensuring that I get an extra 34 doubler. So that's the logic behind it. I don't really rate him as a very good asset. If I get any points out of him in 34, I'll consider myself to be lucky. But this is all what the game is about.
Yeah, exactly. I've only got he's got 3 in 4. That's what I wanted to say. He has 3 goals in the last 4 games. Like, he's playing all right. But thank you for all your suggestions, guys. Data. Yeah, it's not bad.
It's not bad. It's decent for his price, right?
For his price, it's good, yeah. He doesn't get too many chances. Palace don't create much. But we can't forget, by game week 34, Elise's up and running. Eze would have had more games because he's not been back long. And a combination of Eze and Elise feeding Mateta, who is nailed at the moment, 490. Yeah, I think we're all right there. Let's move on. We want to see our teams. We've got this great super chat from Ali. Thank you, Ali. Best goalkeeper to buy this week. His wildcard's available. I guess, Ali, it depends on your chip strategy. If you're building towards a bench boost in 37, for example, goalkeepers like Petrovic are brilliant because you're going to get a double-double. So I like Petrovic, but if you need a doubler in 34, I mean, Raya, if you've got an empty Arsenal spot, I like still, because Raya is so much cheaper than the second Arsenal defender you could buy. You could have Gabriel and Raya as your double Arsenal defence. What about you, big man? Goalkeepers have been tricky this year.
Hello, really nice to have you on the show. I think he has the free hit left. If he would have clarified, that would have been easier for us to answer. But I think you've sort of answered it well. I think if you're looking at a keeper before game week 34, I think Raya fits the bill perfectly. But if someone does not have the wildcard left for later, then Petrovic is the best choice by a distance because of the 2 Chelsea doubles after game week 34. But overall, let's say if I was to buy one, I think Raya is fine for the next 3 or 4 fixtures, especially.
Yeah, I like that. Guys, a few in the chat have mentioned FPL Challenge, and I did say last week, so apologies, did say every week we will show you the team of the week from the week gone by. This week has been chaos because of the deadlines, and we've not done that. We will moving forward. So please, if you win our mini league of that week, we will show your team and how you won it. But we're not doing that this week, but from next week we will. So please do join the FPL Challenge mini league of Chasing Green Arrows. We'll put that at the bottom of the screen along with our normal code, just if you want to join. My week was rubbish, Shashant. I think I got 59 points. But I have played this week. It's double points for forwards, and we'll start to speak about at least 5 minutes of each show on FPL Challenge moving forward if we can. But let's focus on the main game with the deadline so soon. We've seen the wild card. We've spoken about Salah. We've spoken pretty much about the best Liverpool assets. So, big man, let's see our teams. I've got mine to show, and then let's spend a little bit more time on your team as well. So, let's see our teams. Here we go. Where are they? Coming in now. What's the code for the mini league, says Geddy. Geddy, we're going to put the mini league code at the bottom in the next minute or two. This is my team. I've taken a 4-point hit. That is locked in.
Okay. So I see Mateta for Watkins. I see Salah for, who was it?
De Bruyne, baby, who has
De
been the
Bruyne.
worst own ever. So, yeah, De Bruyne had to go. I don't think De Bruyne starts versus Villa, personally. Let's see.
And who's the third?
No, just a 2. I only had 2 transfers,
Okay,
minus 4. Yeah, I didn't roll.
All
yeah.
right.
So my big decision this week actually comes down to who to play in goal. Like, I'm captaining Mo Salah, by the way. Son is not my captain. I just throw that out there. Son will probably be my vice captain, or maybe Saka. But who to play in goal? What do you think, big man? I need your help here. Like, I've got Zabani. The clean sheet odds favour Bournemouth slightly. Is about 5% in it. But Dubravka, one allows me to hedge, so I have one of each. But also, I feel like Dubravka is going to be more likely to pick up save points because Everton do shoot and Palace simply don't. But then Bournemouth have got the greater clean sheet odds.
I think I would disagree with you there because Palace are the sort of teams that are more likely to have low XG shots from distance.
Yeah.
So Neto is likely to get saves from lower quality shots. So I would prefer Neto. I think the only argument I can see for going to Dubravka is the hedging one. But in isolation, I think I just marginally prefer Neto over Dubravka. And I don't think you should be looking at it this way that you won't double Bournemouth defense. So you'll get screwed if Palace scored. Especially if it's a Mateta goal, you'll get royally screwed. Because Mateta's first on your bench. But it's nice. I mean, you have to look at it this way, that if he scores, then he's likely to play by game week 34. So
true, yeah, and he'll go up in value.
Good investment, exactly. Go up in value as well. So I would prefer Neto, but it's a bit of a coin flip, I think. I would go with Neto.
You're saying Neto. FPL Salah has the same 2 keepers, and he's also going Neto. So we have here the 2 signature fantasy football hub pundits both saying Neto. You realise if I go Neto and it's wrong, I'm going to blame the 2 hub guys.
Of course, you can sue me. You can sue us. But I mean, jokes apart, Everton do strike me as the sort of team that can score in most fixtures.
Yeah.
And they've been unlucky when you look at their XG stats this season. They've underperformed by a large extent. And I think they will score this week as well.
Yeah, fair. I mean, off top of my head,
look at the injuries to Newcastle, man. I mean, Lascelles is injured.
True.
Portman is injured. Who are they even going to play? Emil Kraft or someone like that?
Even Kraft, I think, looked like he had a niggle. And he had only just come on.
Exactly. Doesn't really inspire me with a lot of confidence. Livermento is injured as well. So they'll have to play Dan Burn, Shar. I don't know about Trippier. Trippier is a doubt as well. So, again, I'd go with Neto.
Yeah, I might just change that, I might just change that. The challenge mini league code is at the bottom of the screen. If you want to join our normal FPL mini league, then you can do that too. And we'll probably put that code on as well. So 2 leagues, 2 codes, 2 different games. Big man, my plan moving forward, I think next week might even be a roll. I've got money in the bank now. So if I want to move to an Arsenal defender, I can, but I can't reach a Saliba or a White. So it comes down to, again, I need another game of Kivior starting could push me in that direction, but Tomiyasu being back doesn't fill me with confidence. Gvardiol is an option, but again, I should only really be buying those doubling in 34. So I'm not too sure where I'm going. I want Darwin, but I probably can't get Darwin until 34. So let's just see. The other option is I could look to sell a Neto and go to a Raya next week, for example. But again, Neto is someone else that doubles in 34, not the best of doubles. So I think go on.
I think you save next week and then you probably sell Son in 33 to fund someone like a Van Dijk from Bradley because Liverpool have Palace in 33, or Trent if Trent is back by then.
Yeah.
Santos Arabia in 33 and Bradley to Van Dijk or Trent. I think that could work.
It's just Son versus Newcastle is a good fixture. I mean, look what West Ham did to Newcastle.
another point I want to make here, Johnny, is that actually having two frees in 33 will be beneficial, because if we get
Yeah.
City news before 33, and if you hear that Foden is benched, you might want to sell Foden for Sarabia, and then you can upgrade Bradley to Van Dijk. So I would definitely save next week. I don't
Yeah,
see the
good
upside
point.
of moving next week.
Good point. Yeah, you mentioned Sarabia a few times there. Just I know why, because it's just someone
Sarabia or
cheap.
Eze, I mean,
But
anyone. Yeah.
Eze. I think for me, I just can't see past Eze in that price band. But let's see. Let's see your team, big man. I know we got similar teams, and
Thanks. Let's go.
I was actually quite excited by the idea of keeping Son, knowing you were looking to maybe sell him. But obviously, and I completely understand why, you've gone in a similar direction to me, and you're going to probably
It's
be keeping Son, aren't you?
It's a similar direction to you, Jani, but I think we're in the minority, because I see a lot of people
Yeah.
selling Sun this week.
Yeah.
When you look at the teams, the majority of teams on Twitter or YouTube, Instagram, a lot of people are selling Sun. Uh, this is my team pre-transfers. So the options I had at this point in time, realistic options of getting Salah, were the route I chose, which was Foden out, Watkins out for Salah and Mateta.
Yeah.
And the other route was that I could sell Son, Richarlison, and Watkins for Salah, Sarabia, and Darwin. Yeah. So the difference between the two routes is essentially keeping Son and avoiding the hit versus getting Darwin for a hit. And I went with the first. I avoided the hit. I kept Son. Now I had to sell Foden, but I'm sort of okay with that, because I'm not exactly very confident about his minutes going forward. And when it's a choice between Son and Foden, I think I prefer Son, simply because of its minutes. And with
You
Richarlison,
couldn't sell Richarlison. You couldn't go Richarlison to Salah, Watkins down, and keep Foden.
No, I couldn't.
You couldn't. You
no,
couldn't
I
afford
couldn't.
that.
I couldn't. Yeah, I couldn't do that. I actually had an exact cash for the transfers I made, so I couldn't. I wouldn't have been in a position to sell Richarlison, but I think I'm fine with Richarlison, because let's say there are 2 or 3 scenarios, right? If he starts this week, if he get a league, I start him. If he don't get a league, I bench him, right? And if, let's say, Spurs play well and he doesn't look like playing next week, I can sell him to Sarabia, which was already the plan in 33. And if he plays well, then, or if he looks like starting in game week 32, then I can start him next week, and then I can just make that transfer in 33. So I think my plans from now on in involve selling Richarlison for Sarabia and getting either Van Dijk or Trent in for Porro. And these are 2 moves I can easily sort of make now, because I've got Mateta and I have the funds to do it. And then in 34, I can just sell Son for Eze or Haaland to Darwin if need be. So I think the plans from now on until game week 34 are fairly straightforward. This was the tricky week where I had to make decisions, and I'm just hoping they don't really have major ramifications going forward, and I don't really have to pay for any negative variance that I've accumulated in the past.
I like that. I think you've probably landed on the right pick. I do wonder, and a few people in the chat have mentioned Porro. Was there a route where you could go Richarlison to Salah, still do Watkins down to Mateta, but you keep Foden and you have to find the million or the 1.2, and you sell Pedro Porro to a Richards or whoever, and then you just start Zabani this week? It would have had to take an additional 4-point hit, but Porro is the one player I look at in your 11, and I think a few in the chat might agree. If I was looking to save $1 million, he's probably the only guy I'd be willing to sacrifice.
Okay, I have 2 counters to that, right? So the first counter is that I don't think that keeping Foden for this 1 week alone is worth 4 points over someone like Richarlison or Mateta, firstly. Right. Secondly, even if I had gotten in a cheap defender for Porro, I would have had to sell that defender later for a Liverpool defender, because in any case, I won't be selling Saliba or Gabriel, and I want a Liverpool defender for 33, 34. Right. So I don't really see the point of buying a cheap defender, someone like a Brantford or...
Could have gone Bradley, mate.
Yeah, Bradley, I don't think will be a realistic option after game week 33. I think Trent will be back. Exactly. So there's that. And then there's the fact that almost none of the defenders have a good fixture this week, and I'm okay with Porro having Forest next week as well. Forest at home, I think, is a good fixture next week. So I'm okay with Porro because of these 3 or 4 reasons I mentioned. I know he's not an amazing choice, but I don't think he's a must sell either.
I would have got rid and kept Foden, but you know my blindness with Foden at times. But I think Foden with Villa, Palace and Luton is a beautiful 3 fixtures, and I think he'll start the lot. But let's see. That's nice though. That's nice that we can once have a difference in opinion, because we often don't, but also we've got a key player here that one of us is selling and one of us still owns, and Foden could be the difference maker, baby. Come on.
Yeah, you might be right, but then again, Johnny, if I was taking a hit, I think I would have been more inclined to take the hit for Darwin as opposed to taking one to sell Porro and get Mateta.
and get
You know
Richards.
what I mean? Yeah,
um,
exactly. So if
an
I was
8-point
taking a hit,
hit
I
for
mean, I might as well have taken
3.9 Richards. Why not? Yeah. I hear you about the idea of when you do sell Porro or you do want that extra defender, you want it to be you want that to be a Trent spot. I get that. You could, I guess, the other option was in game week 34. You could have bought a Richards and just gone into 34 with a back four, but 11 doublers. You
No,
could.
I'm not considering that. I'm not considering that at all. I would rather play someone like an Eze or Mateta over, let's say, a Branthwaite or a Richards in
Yeah.
33. So that's why I don't really see the point of having a cheap defender at this point in time, especially given the fact that I have double Arsenal defense. I don't really need it, and I want to save that spot for a Liverpool defender later. And I
Yeah.
think Porro is a nice placeholder because of the 2 fixtures he has in the next 2 weeks.
Yeah, no, fair enough. Well, look, it's we've been getting similar results in the last few weeks, which is difficult because I've got to climb back to how many points between us. But this is one of the few weeks I'm going into it thinking I've got a better looking team.
I also want to discuss Neto. Actually, do you think he starts after the Howler at the weekend?
I think so. Like, isn't Neto the cap? Am I right in thinking Neto?
He is. Yeah,
captain?
Yeah, he is. He is. Yeah.
It does seem too far to drop your captain when you're winning games. Like, don't get me wrong. If Bournemouth have been, on a really bad losing run, and then he has a howler, yeah. But I look at still the way the team played and go, yeah, Bournemouth still won that football match. Bournemouth still played all right, and goalkeepers every now and then will have a howler. So, yeah, I'm not even considering the idea of a Neto.
G, what are the main differences between our teams this week? It's basically your Foden, right?
Yeah, my Foden
plus Bradley
versus your Richarlison. Yeah, so it's Foden or Richarlison, and then it's Bradley or Porro.
I think I'll play Mateta. I don't think I'll play Richarlison unless we heard that Richarlison is starting. What would you do?
Okay. I would play Mateta. Yeah,
you play Mateta
unless we knew starting, as you say, and then we might hear because they do play tonight. Spurs. I just can't remember too many games where we've had legit leaks on Spurs, but maybe that's because we don't often see Spurs playing in the 12:30.
I mean, I was holding out for leaks at the weekend and we didn't hear any for Spurs, so I'm not really holding my breath over here. But yeah, it would be amazing if we hear whether or not Richarlison is starting. So yeah, it's basically Bradley and Foden versus my Mateta and Porro, and definitely you're winning there. But what's important to note here is that I have the extra 4 points in my bank already. So you're chasing 4 points as well.
The burn, the damn burn. But also, exactly. It should be worth.
But you'll win. I'm confident.
Well, no, I'm not sure
because
you've also got Saliba. We can't forget it's your Saliba versus my Zabani.
Yeah, I guess that's a fair point.
So
I think I've convinced you into Neto actually. And I think you're actually lining up your...
I've changed it on my phone. It was literally 5 minutes ago, as you said. Yeah.
As soon as Everton score, I'm sure you'll be lining up your lawyers to send a letter to Fantasy Football Hub.
I will be. There we go. Guys, should we do a poll? Come on, this is going to be... Come on. The loser will have to take one on the chin here. But who's going to get more points this week? Gianni or Bigman? We've seen our teams. It's Saliba, Porro, and Mateta versus Foden. +4. Yeah, good point. Yeah, do you know what? That's what we should poll. Who's going to get more points? We won't put Gianni or Bigman. It's too personal then. We'll put who's going to get more points. Richarlison, Porro, Saliba +4. Or Foden, Bradley, and Zabani. Oh, when you put it like that, big man, I'm not so confident.
Actually, it's Mateta for me, not Richarlison.
Oh, yeah, go on. Even better. Put Mateta in. Sachin's question. Ortega likely to start, big man?
I'm not sure. There was a tweet I saw from I think it was from FPL Main Road, who has been known to leaks in the past. And he did say that the Edison injury is not a serious one and he's expected to be back soon. I'm not sure whether that soon is going to be tomorrow. But if I was to guess, I think Ortega will start tomorrow. But yeah, he's not someone I would consider for my fill team.
Yeah, same. I can't wait for this poll. We've got a couple of minutes, so we're going to put it out. It's Mateta, Saliba, Porro +4, or Foden, Bradley, Zabani. Who gets more
Yeah,
points?
it's the Bradley thing. I think Bradley could just hit a 15-pointer, and I won't be surprised.
Yeah,
I'm really scared of Bradley. I'm really scared of. I won't be watching the Liverpool game at all.
I might
No
vice
Bradley, no
captain
Darwin.
Bradley. I might put the vice captaincy on him. Genuinely,
Yeah,
I
this is
think
a good
Bradley's
shout.
going to outscore Son and Saka, so I may as well vice him. That's what vice
Haaland
is
even.
for, right? Yeah.
No,
Absolutely.
I mean that's a stretch. That's quite a stretch.
Right, I'm just waiting for this poll. We need to get this poll on because
Okay, what are the results?
No, we've not posted it yet. We've not posted it. I think the guys are probably writing it up now. If they want me to reiterate just one final time, Fad, come on! I've said it 4 times. Right, for the 5th time, everyone. It's
Mateta plus for.
Go on, you say it, big man.
Mateta
You're not
plus
listening to me.
Saliba. Mateta plus Saliba plus Porro plus 4 points versus Bradley plus Zabarni plus Foden. That's it.
Good man. When big man speaks, we listen.
Anyway, it's going to be a fun week, man. Jani, I still think that our teams are sort of similar now, and
Yeah.
they've actually been very different all season. But I'm sort of happy now that we've sort of come to a similar path.
Yeah, it's the chip strategy, isn't it? That determines so much, and therefore the look and shape of your team.
Exactly. So I'm just hoping I can just get out of the next 3-4 weeks surviving Darwin. Realistically, at this point in time, are you contemplating Haaland to Darwin in Game Week 34? Because
Yeah, it's only Brighton.
I mean, it is, but you could sell someone like a Son for Eze as well. So it's technically Eze plus Haaland versus Darwin plus a lesser option.
I think a lot will come down to if Trent's back. If Trent's back and starting, we're going to need some money. And if we need money, then going, Son or Foden down to an Eze, sure, gets me money. Yeah. But also just the Haaland. Oh, no, we've done the poll wrong. Sorry, guys. We're going to... they both say +4. We're going to have to delete that poll. Sorry, team. Oh, nightmare.
Absolute nightmare.
We'll forget the poll this week. No worries.
It's a landslide win if both of them had 4 points each.
Yeah. We'll sack off the poll. So no, I think I'm fine with selling. I mean, I'm going to go into 34, big man, with Foden and Haaland, right? So I'm happy selling one of them. Surely it's just Brighton away, like for a doubler. And I might even bench the other one. I might be in a world where I sell one and bench one of my City assets, or maybe I start one and bench the other.
Are you seriously contemplating it though?
Yeah, no, my plan on my spreadsheet is Haaland out to Darwin and to start Foden as my 11th player. I think Foden's the only one that won't be doubling.
Interesting, because in all my plans, I had Son and Foden out by 34. It was just the order, which was tough to decide, and I've sort of decided that Foden was the one who's going to go first, and then it's going to be Richarlison, Son in that order.
Yeah, fair. But that means
I like Trent to be an option in 33. Yeah. I don't think realistically he will be. I think Van Dijk will probably be the sensible play.
Oh, if you go Van Dijk, then you're locking yourself out of. I'd rather go neither of them and just then go Trent in 34. If you go Van Dijk, you're locking yourself from Trent in 34.
Yeah, but the issue with Trent is that he could be rested, rotated in 34 because of the close scheduling of games, right?
He plays one and not the other. Yeah.
If you're okay to accept that risk, you can take that risk in 33 as well. But I don't think we'll have any extra clarity by 33, which is why I do think that as of now, as things stand, that Van Dijk is looking to be the superior option.
Fair enough. That's why, in a way, I liked the Bradley own, because I thought even if Bradley's not now to start both games because Trent's back, there's a fair chance he starts one and gets 30 in another. And I'm like, I'm okay with 120 minutes from Bradley over a double.
Yeah,
heck, I might even be all right with 90 minutes of a Bradley.
I do think Bradley will start one. I agree. Yeah. Could even get the Palace game, I think.
If he gets the Palace game, I'll be so happy. Yeah, good stuff. Well, we will be back next week, me and Big Man, in our normal slot on Wednesday. We'll be back to some routine next week. We'll have our normal shows, our normal times. We'll have our normal game week deadlines. But look, if you are just joining, then make sure you go back and watch the last hour. It's been a really good chat. We've still got 4 hours to the game week deadline at 6 p.m. Please do. There's loads of newbies today. Like and subscribe. Subscribe to Chasing Green Arrows. Set the notification bell. But yeah, that's it all from me. Any final thoughts from you, Big Man?
No, I think we've made our bet this week. I just hope that the variance gods smile on us and we have a good game week. And again, good luck to everyone. I hope we see you next week. This point on the back of more green arrows.
Yeah, exactly that. CH has asked if I'm streaming later. I think I'm going to stream at 5 p.m, an hour to deadline. And CH, I'm going to need you in the chat as my channel mod because FPL Fake Harry is doing the rounds, isn't he? So I look forward to seeing you later, CH. Thank you. If you can join at 5 p.m. on my channel, I'll see loads of you there. But if you're just joining in now, go back and watch the last hour. He's been Big Man. I've been Janny, and we've been Chasing Green Arrows.